I'm talking into the mic seductively, of course. You like my supple leg hair?
Yeah, we see the feeties in there too for free.
You like my grippers?
Stop!
You need to watch this. I'm not sure why I dislike that. It's not that I have anything particularly wrong with it. I just would rather them not be like, oh my god, we have to watch it. Because then it's like, oh my god, we're both so fake. So, do yourself a favor. Don't be that guy who's like, oh my god, you need to see this. You can. I would say the most important thing is to be like, oh, well, I find it to be an enjoyable movie, and I think you would enjoy it too. If you ever find yourself being bored, give it a look, but I'm not gonna hold it to you. And that's our cold open.
Hello. This is my good dear friend, John Harvey. Otherwise, I can also edit this out.
Please call me by my real name or my gamer name.
Which is Goomy with a G.
With a G? Of course it's with a G.
What else would it be? Telling us about where did this come from?
Oh, well, I just thought I'd tell you about it. It crossed my mind, and I thought I'd tell you about it.
Yeah? Oh, thank you for sharing about it.
Yeah. Well, you know me, I like to share.
Yeah. I'm going to try to let your tangents go on as far as they feel just like right to go.
Okay. Daniel-san,
Hello.
why do you have me on there?
I have you on here because I think you can provide a lot of good insight in very particular subjects. Some which are subtle themes throughout my episodes of Spider-Man, and also just because you're a very interesting, curious, and awesome individual who I hold dear, and that's the kind of people I want to have on this show.
Wow, thank you so much. That was not scripted whatsoever.
It wasn't. It's just coming from my heart.
Well, I love you very much, Daniel, and I'm glad that you have me on here. And I'm so excited to talk to you about things and such. And that's what we're going to be talking about, things and such.
Things and such. Trademark. Patent pending.
Yes, indeed. To dive right in,
Yeah.
I am a Spinozist. And
Can you define that, please?
someone who enjoys or follows the philosophies of the great philosopher Benedictus de Spinoza, or Baruch de Spinoza. He was a Jewish philosopher who was excommunicated in the 1600s for his very controversial views on religion and nature and God. And this is so totally off base what we're talking. It sounds totally off base, but a lot of what he says is sort of connected to the human that he so loves.
He loves the human, as in like the human being.
Well, yes, yeah, because he vehemently believed that the human is a part of God. And God, being nature, he sort of created this cosmic religion. And a lot of the great scientists loved him, like Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein wrote a poem about this guy.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? Albert Einstein freaking loved this guy. He wrote a poem, and afterwards he was just like, I'm not really great at poems, but I loved this guy so much that I wrote a poem about him. Anyway.
Do you know how it went?
No, that's a great question, but we could look that up. Honestly, wait, I could look this up right now.
Yeah, go for it.
And
we'll have a person to do that in the 100 episodes.
Give me just a second here.
Man, that's kind of crazy that you say that though, because I'm a big believer in like things happening for a reason and like the interconnectedness of everything. And so hearing the out of nowhere, just diving right into it of this guy believing that God is in humans, and like that's just oh man, we can just dive so much into that.
Where is this poem? I cannot find it right now.
That is okay. Do you kind of want to tell us what you know by memory, like even though if it's a little botched?
I don't know it by memory. I remember reading it and taking a picture. Oh, you know what? I took a picture of it. Oh my god. Wait. I don't even know where to find that in my phone. I'm terrible at taking pictures.
All right. Well, where were you going with this?
Okay. So we were discussing at least the beginning, motivation versus discipline. That was the first thing on the list, right? But
Yeah.
the more that we go down, the more we dive into the mind and the body. In Spinoza, he believed that they are the same thing. The human is a complete thing. You are not just your brain inside, you are also your body. Without one, you cannot be the complete human that you are.
Okay.
And so, there cannot be a separation of the two. That's one of the big things that Spinoza talks about, is that there's no separation between God and nature. He says to do so would mean that nature is vying for power with God. And, I have to agree. If God is all powerful, then he has to be nature's law. And it's all about what we understand. But anyway, in terms of motivation and discipline, your brain, much like your body, is a tool. We use our fingers and our hands, prehensile tools, to grab and manipulate things in the world around us. We use our feet, our legs, and our muscles to walk, and our brain is the same, except our brain was designed to solve complex problems that was external to the body. So, you have thousands, millions, billions of years of evolution, of your brain figuring out how to solve these problems. And now we've come to a particular place. It's called emergence. We've stepped up in the ladder.
Are you saying we as in a human?
Yeah, as like humans,
a human race.
There is no other being like us on this planet or out in the universe, at least as far as we know. We are the next step up.
Yo, I did not know Goomy was gonna go this direction. This is very intriguing. I don't think I've ever heard him talk about this per se.
We've got a wide scope, but I'm trying to bring it. I'm trying to bring it in.
No, I don't mind. I just was like, wow, I didn't know like he like dove into this kind of thing.
So
Yeah.
we evolved. We evolved, and we, as sort of like a byproduct, we developed sapience. Our ability to think and problem solve has all of a sudden given us anxiety and problems that we don't know, or our body does not know how to solve. It's a crazy thing to think about, but we are working on old technology right now, and we have to come up with creative solutions to help us resolve some of these problems. I remember reading on the internet. I don't know. You've probably seen this before. I'm hoping, but I read somewhere that when you get anxious, it's your brain's way of being like, oh, there's a tiger chasing you, or something like that. Like you have to pretend like the brain thinks that a tiger is chasing you. So what you do is, well, at least when you're being hunted by a tiger, is use your muscles, right? You have to run fast to get away, or you have to fight, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to fight the anxiety, you have to imagine it as slow-moving tigers. So what you do is you clench all of your muscles together and then release. And relax.
Well, that did make me more calmer.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of slow-moving tigers these days that our brain makes up. Because there is perceived threat. But the threat is not the same as it was millions of years ago. So what do we do? What do we do?
What do we do?
We come up with tools to fight these slow-moving tigers, right?
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize there was multiple of them until the tigers.
Oh, yeah!
I mean, that makes sense.
We've got tons of slow-moving tigers that are coming to attack us, but haven't really attacked us yet because they're slow.
Or we have to imagine that they're slow, right? Or
yes.
else they'll be the fast.
Well, because you have deadlines, right? Those are slow-moving tigers.
Deadlines?
You get anxious about, an upcoming project, and you can't feel motivated to get the project done. You procrastinate. It's hard.
So what you're saying is, think of your problems or the anxiety-inducing things as those slow-moving tigers?
Well, you can, if that's helpful. See, this is the thing that I wanted to talk about. Is wait. I'm gonna look at the list here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I need to. I'm gonna get this right. Yes. The one thing on the list that I wanted to talk about is dissecting your thoughts and how we can turn them around to serve you. Because you remember I said that your brain is a tool, right?
Yeah.
Well, if your brain is a tool, why is your brain not serving you as a tool?
We clog it up.
We have all of these negative thoughts, in our head. Like, I'll share some of mine. I constantly think that I've failed in life. I have a lot of evidence to think that I've failed in life. But those thoughts don't serve me to elevate my life to the next step. In fact, they hinder me. And I think a lot of people feel this way. They have all these thoughts, and then, there's all these thoughts lead them into these sort of ruts. And we keep continuing down these ruts because we've thunk these thoughts so many times that it's just how we've come to be. We have effectively in our brain's mind not solved the slow-moving tiger problem. But that's the wrong way of. I think it's not a frame of mind that serves you. So how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you turn your thoughts around? How do How do you turn your thoughts around? Well, it's a lot about thinking about thoughts.
Okay.
You have to think.
Okay.
You have to really think about your thoughts. But more importantly, you have to catch yourself thinking those thoughts. Okay.
Yeah, kind of being a little self-aware.
Well, and it goes deeper than that. It's not about catching yourself, just catching yourself. You need to catch yourself, but you also need to dissect them. You have to really, really dig deep and analyze where these feelings are coming from, where these thoughts are coming from. And then once you understand where these thoughts are coming from, then you can truly turn around your thoughts. I am not an expert on this. I'm not an expert on this. So here's what I'm going to recommend. I recommend that you go and you look at the videos posted by Dr. Bill Crawford. He talks about this a lot, about how you move your thoughts, your reptilian brain thoughts from your brain stem, moving them into the neocortex so that we can be our confident, creative, and wonderful self. Sorry, that was my mother calling.
Do you need to take it? We could.
I probably need to take it because she's freaking out right now.
All right. Brief intermission.
Recording now.
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
Well, I'm so sorry for that sudden jump cut there. My mother ruined my one take. I mean, our one take.
We were like, one shot, no stops, no editing. Which, as podcasts go, there's not going to be much editing.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll cut it up.
So I've been yapping a lot.
All right, so let me catch up. And as the audience and I try to grasp this very dense information, but very interesting information, here's what I think I retained. So first off, there's a guy, Spizak. I don't know.
Spinoza.
Spinoza, like Espinoza without the E.
I mean, yeah.
And you started off talking about his theory and how, he believes God is in man. And then you went on to talk about, like, the nature of man and kind of like our primitive instinct a little bit and how, our anxiety, our fears, all these complicated feelings, you could think of them as like tigers coming at us. And if we specifically think of them as slow tigers, they're easier to handle. And how you can slow down those tigers, maybe this is where I got a little, how you can slow down the tigers is like clenching your muscles really tight and then like breathing on, feeling a little better.
It's like a little Band-Aid.
A little Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
But the tigers are still coming at you, so how do you figure that out? Well, what is the thought of that tiger coming at you? And how do you dissect the thought? Think about the thought. So if I'm thinking, man, I really want to squash John's knee right now. Oh, I just really want to squash it. There's this anger. Whatever. Well, where did that thought come from? And maybe diving into the origins of the thought that you don't like can help you kind of reroute or rewire it. And you gave an example, or you gave a resource of Bill Crawford.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Bill Crawford.
Dr. Bill Crawford talking about this, which he can explain in different words, greater detail.
Yes.
But what is the overarching, like, thing that this is, like, maybe if some people didn't vibe with Bill Crawford and wanted to just look at a bunch of everything, like, what can they look up to? Is it, like, how to help rewire your brain to help better motivate / discipline you? Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of the methods that I think that have helped me that I think might help some of you viewers.
Okay.
out there or listeners.
Use specific examples.
So I think
Ladies and
that
gentlemen, he thinks.
therefore I am. That is no joke. I'm watching you. I think the best way to start is by looking at what it is you need. Do you need... I'm going to look at the list here.
Have it up.
Actually, could you clarify that question a bit more?
I was asking, like, if someone were to go on YouTube or Google, how to help, or what question do they type in to help them search more about what you kind of talked about, and specifically, I guess, what was it the core of what you're getting at, like to help calm anxieties, tough problems, or redirecting your thoughts? What is like the umbrella that you're talking about?
I think for me, I am by no means an expert on this.
What is this though? That's the question.
I have ADHD.
Sure.
And for a lot of people, ADHD will present different problems for them. I think that each person has a unique sort of effect. Each person with ADHD has a unique effect on them. I think there are some things that are colloquial in terms of commonality in ADHD. For me, it's about structure. I have a hard time with structuring. And what I mean by that is all things about structuring life. So, like a schedule or organizing thoughts in my head, internally and externally. But there are plenty of tools out there. And I'm sure people have heard the counselor or teacher tell them to make a schedule, write down those dates and you'll be good, without addressing how to do all of those things.
Right. And especially when you have ADHD like you and I, it feels extremely overwhelming. Okay, you want me to do this thing, but there's like 5 million different steps to take.
Exactly. And not only that, they're asking you to figure out how to prioritize the items that you need to do. And, for the longest time, I didn't know how to do that, Daniel. I did not know how to prioritize the things in my life. There are things that I want to do. There are things that I should be doing. There are things that I should and want to do.
What do you do that helps you organize them now?
Well, I make a schedule.
Okay, how did you learn to make the schedule, being
How did I learn to make a schedule?
an ADHD individual
Well,
finds that really tough?
Shocker, I'm still learning how to do it.
Perfect. You're human. But how did you start?
So, I started by recognizing my own flaws. And what I sort of came to this revelation by having chats with my mother.
The one that so lovingly called you earlier.
Yes. So I guess what I encourage you to do is talk to someone first. Talk about the thoughts in your head. Talk about solutions. And then once you feel you have pinpointed the cause,
Pause.
I'm
So,
pausing.
step 1, get someone. Option 1, get someone to help you bounce off all your thoughts. You could just say them out loud, or you could write them all down. If they're that type of person, write all
Oh.
of the thoughts down. Just
Yeah.
word vomit. Don't edit. Don't edit as you write or as you type.
You could even talk to an inanimate object as well. I believe you were listening to Thor. What's his face? On he's very famous. Pirate Software.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thor, whatever his name. Well, he has a method where if he has a problem, coming up in coding, he talks to his little figurine on his desk, and that helps him work out his problems.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I just recently got into him.
He's an amazing person. Mad envious of the guy. He's what a great guy. Look to him for motivation.
So that's step 1. I'm gonna be the guy that keeps him on track for this because I'm actually curious too, like how this, how his method, how he tackles his method. So step 1, you get the ideas out there, you bounce them off, or well, okay.
Yeah,
Step 2.
It's about dissecting your thoughts into figuring out what it is you need. And then
To figure out what it is you need.
and I think that's it.
How do you know what you need though? Some people don't know what they need.
That's why you talk to someone.
Okay.
That's why you
that's
talk
the
to
goal.
someone you trust, someone who may know you. And if you are talking to an inanimate object and you're producing no results, cut that. I don't know what to do. Panic.
Okay. So, you talk to someone or talk to get your thoughts out, try to organize them in a way for the end goal being what it is you need. Okay. So how do we get from that point to, hey, I'm able to make a schedule and follow it now?
Well, I will say that this is where I think it gets a little dubious. I think this is from that point it sort of jumps the shark because everyone is different. Everyone is going through their own journey,
And I don't talk about you. How do you do it?
Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you. So, I mean, if you're asking so nicely, I mean, you have me on here.
Yeah.
I'm just yapping up a storm. I'm talking about whatever. I'm so disorganized.
That's
my
okay.
thought.
Hey, that's all right.
I didn't say it was a bad thing.
Oh shit.
Are you implying that that my rambling is a bad thing?
The way your tone made me think that you were a little down on it or something.
Well, you're right a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. That's mostly for the audience at home. Anyway, so I started realizing a long time ago. Okay, wait. Okay, I know where to start now. Okay. So I feel as though my journey began. My journey. Excuse you. My journey began. Where's it going?
I have been excused.
Oh, okay. My journey began. How many times am I going to have to start this over? My journey began.
Wait,
journey began.
John Harvey. Is something actually like going on right now, or are you doing a bit?
I'm not doing a bit. I'm letting my ADHD fly. Are you blinking at me?
I'm blinking. I'm letting my ADHD fly.
If they're holding you hostage, blink twice.
Keep on blinking.
My journey began. My journey began in the year 2020. Yes, the year when COVID struck all of us.
In a world
where
everybody stayed indoors and global warming and the Earth recovered a little bit.
I decided that I was not going to languish in my room while waiting for the world to recover from COVID.
Define
I was-
language. Languish, just for those who might not.
Well, let me use handy dandy Google. so that gives you
Contextually,
an
I'm
idea.
guessing, like, kind of rot in pain of some sort.
There are two definitions. It's a verb. Of a person or other living thing, lose or lack vitality, grow weak or feeble. That's the first one. Here's the second one. Suffer from being forced to remain in an unpleasant place or situation.
Note. You think your room is unpleasant? Or situation, never mind.
It was. I didn't want to languish.
Right. So back in 2020, this
Back in
happened.
2020, I didn't want to languish, and a lot of people were going down the path of languishing. So I did something that I never thought I could ever possibly do, and that was get my shit together.
Dun, dun,
Isn't
dun.
that crazy, right? So what did I do? Well, it was simple. I knew that I am terrible at structure. I'm terrible at scheduling. But I knew that I'd be in the apartment all day, every day, for X amount of months until COVID went away. So I ordered Ring Fit Adventure for the Nintendo Switch.
I was going to guess that, but yeah. And you stayed on that for hundreds of days.
Yes.
And I joined you on some of them.
Yes. For context, Daniel and I lived in Chicago for about a year and a half before we had to sadly pack up our things and move out because of COVID. Thank you, COVID.
Thank you, COVID.
So I picked up this game, and it was fantastic because it did all the structuring for me. It said, like, here's a ring. Here's what we want you to do. Defeat these monsters. Come back every day. Come back when you want to. Come back and play the game. And something clicked inside. I said, all I have to do is wake up, come to this game, set aside an hour in my day. What am I doing? I'm doing nothing. It's COVID. And exercise. Because my large goal, was to lose weight. And why did I want to lose weight? Because I felt insecure about my body. Surprise, I still do.
But the thing that he won't tell you is the thing that I will tell you is back then, like, he wasn't overweight at all, but now
I was overweight.
were you?
Technically.
Technically?
I was on the very low end on the BMI scale. And I know, listen, those who know about the BMI scale, they're like, oh, don't use the BMI scale. It's not very useful and it can harm you. But here's the thing. It can be helpful because the BMI scale is great for people who do not work out. And I didn't work out at the time. And so for me, I had to come up with a baseline. I was like, okay, so I'm not terribly overweight, but I am overweight. And I feel awful about it. But at the time I did. But I could do something about it. So I did. I picked up Ring Fit and I did it. But it wasn't motivation. I wasn't motivated to work out. In fact, I work out these days and I hate it. I hate working out. It sucks. I hate the way that it feels. I hate that I have to drink coffee and pep myself up and change clothes and make sure that I don't look raggedy before I go to the gym and worry about feeling self-conscious about my progress and all this. Good boy. But you know what keeps me in it? It's discipline. It's discipline. Motivation is beautiful. It's the thing that you want. You want to have motivation, but it's the thing that slips through your fingers. It disappears when the real going gets tough. It's discipline is what's going to get you back into the gym. But
And it sounded me?
Yeah, you.
It sounded like you didn't really have the discipline immediately at all, right? You picked up this game, this one thing that made you feel like you could do it every day, even if it sucked, because you kind of set your mind to it, and then you built this sort of habit to do this thing at certain time.
I did.
And you just kept going and didn't let that slide.
Well, I also started really small too.
Yeah,
I only did what I could handle.
Aiming low enough to hit the target.
And that's what I'm doing with building a schedule now. I'm starting really small. I was really proud of myself, and I'm going to allow myself to be proud of myself, and I want you to be proud of yourself for the small steps that you take too. So here we go. I was really proud of myself because I scheduled a whole slew of tasks to do on Tuesday, and I did my top 3. I didn't do all of them, but I did my top 3. I did my top. Even if I did just one of those things, I decided that I was going to be proud about it. And this is getting into the restructuring of the thoughts. But more than that, it's getting into the next thing. I wrote here. Where is it? Where did I write this? Here it is. I wrote it all as one, but it's the last part that I want you to listen to. Embrace the suck. Become the resilient motherfucker. You are the resilient motherfucker. That's a mantra that you should be saying to yourself. That's also getting into restructuring your thoughts. But the other thing, too, is walk backwards, forwards.
Walk backwards, forwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't walk forward. Walk backwards, but in the direction you want to go. What does that mean? John, Goomy, what does that mean?
What does that mean? I kind of know what that means, but elaborate.
So,
be right.
What I mean? Okay, see you later.
I think so. Our dog likes to sit on this couch a lot, and I'm slightly allergic to dogs and cats. So I've been coughing because I think I smell the things. It's getting me wheezy.
How dare you do this? So,
proceed.
Walk backwards, forwards. What do I mean? Well, when you take a step, it's a small step, and you. So I want you to imagine yourself in a flat plane, white, and your goal is all the way over yonder. It's can you see? It's way past the horizon. Oh my God! It's way far over there.
Yeah, really
yikes! That is a large goal that's going to take a long time to get to. Okay, time to start walking. No. Don't start walking looking at your goal. Walk backwards.
So you don't see how big
you don't see how much you have to go, so you can see how far you've started coming. When you take a step, that is one step in the direction that you're going. This is about reframing your mind. And don't think that it's stupid. Don't think that it's stupid, because it's It's not stupid if it works. And let me tell you, it has done wonders.
Listen, people can think whatever they want
Oh,
because,
yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm not going to stop you from thinking that it's stupid.
but
All right.
I think it's fascinating. I actually didn't. I thought it was kind of like lean towards the ideology of failing forward, which in a way kind of is, but in a way it's really not. So the thought process is that's a really big fucking task that I need to do. Um, I'm gonna turn around and walk backwards towards it so I can see the progress that I'm making and see how, and while tackling the task. But how does that work in a like in present tense in the now? So my task is to get my management team to all share the company vision and do and get like a ticketed event going on. Whew, that's a big. There's a lot of steps to go into that. How do I turn around and not see it, or do I just not focus on the big picture and focus on the small things? Like how do I translate what you just said about walking backwards, forwards?
Well, I think it's good to define your large goals. But I think the focus shouldn't be on the large goal, but the small goals that make up the large goal. Because when you work out, it isn't boop, you're done. It's it is a culmination of all the times that you've gone to the gym, that you've eaten right. All of those days require you to complete the small goal of those things happening. So, in your example, maybe it starts with just getting one person on your side to share the company vision. It starts with one person. If you're trying to get everyone in the same room so you can be aligned on the same goals, you may lose that personal effect. It's like if I went to the gym and I started lifting the heaviest weights. No, I can't do that. I can't. But then I can't be harsh on myself for starting at the low weights, And
Yeah.
continuing on, I've discovered that it's actually really freaking hard to bench even just one plate. I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I still struggle to do like 5 reps of one plate. I can do it pretty handily now, but that took time. That that took 3 years of going to the gym 3 times a week, eating right, eating a shit ton of protein. And I think we get a little lost when we idolize the large goal and what we want. We know what we want for ourselves. But we need to figure out how to get there. How do we get there? And I think
I think it's. I don't know if you have taken the time to appreciate the forwards that you've gone because your transformation has been pretty epic. Um, in from like the 2020 COVID ring fit to now, where you work out consistently, you do the coffee, you do the gym, and now you can bench quite a few reps. And I don't know, have you taken time to really appreciate how far you've come?
this is what I mean. This is about walking backwards forwards or walking forwards backwards. Wait, I should say it like what you walk forward backwards. Oh, that makes we should have said it like that. Cuz if you walk okay, yeah, okay, well. Anyway, hopefully you
That makes more
understood what
sense.
we meant. um but no, it's the same principle. You will have moments where you will fall into these moments of despair because you have turned around and looked at your large goal. My large goal is to put on so much muscle mass until I'm satisfied with how I look. But I don't know what that looks like. That's my problem that I'm working through right now. It's called body dysmorphia. But what helps is looking at those pictures when I started. And when you start, you're gonna feel so awful. Looking at the sad pictures of yourself. Well, maybe they're not sad, but you might feel sad. You might feel sad. That's okay. It's okay. Because once that picture is taken, you start walking forwards, backwards, until all of a sudden it's 3 years later and you're looking at yourself from so far away. So far away you thought it was in the horizon. Now you turn around and you realize, oh shit, that large goal is still in the horizon. But from where you started, it's in the horizon. And you cannot deny solid evidence like that.
Yeah.
So here's something that I want to help you with.
Oh, help me?
Oh. Not you specifically. Maybe to you out there. Someone who might listen and say, hey, like, that's great and all, but where do I begin? Here's how I can help you. Where do I begin? It starts with getting informed. How do you get informed? You read a book! You read a motherfucking book! How did I start working out? I read a book. I read a book about it. There are thousands of experts out there that said, hey, I figured this shit out. People have been in muscle science. I learned how to grow mushrooms by reading a book. I grew my own mushrooms. I just read a book, and all the while I was problem solving, and motivating was there, but at some points it was just like, oh great, I have to go and buy the materials. But then you realize discipline. You go, you set a time in your schedule, you say that you're going to do it, then you do it. What happens if you don't do it?
Don't beat yourself up.
That's first and foremost. You move it over to the next day. And you say that I'm going to do it. Even though I don't feel like I want to do it.
I think if you say you're going to do it and then you don't, maybe you weren't aiming low enough. Maybe you weren't, your goal was too big. Like, for example, maybe it's Atomic Habits that said this, but
that's a book I need to read.
It was like, if you want to go out for a run, don't just say you're going to go out for a run. Break it like, what's a baby step you can take that's just 1% towards the goal? Okay, for 30 seconds, I will proceed the task of going out to a run, which is what does that look like? Well, I'm gonna go put on my shoes. Cool. You put on your running shoes. You have accomplished your task. Allow yourself to feel accomplished. Take them off. You're done for the day. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. You aimed low. You accomplished your task. You don't need to go further and burn yourself out. You could just stop there. And the next day, you're gonna put on your shoes and take a step, or take 2 steps. Then you're gonna take them off. Then the next day, you're gonna go put on your shoes and go down the stairs. Or go out the door, take a deep breath, go back inside, take off your shoes. Those are the baby steps that you're talking about, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much for tying that in, because that is a great point. You need to break down your large goals. Break them down. Break them up into small parts. and it's kind of the same principle with thinking thoughts. right? You have come to this very large, okay, NSFW warning here, because I'm sure we've all had a thought or thoughts where you have, and I'm going to say that these are large thoughts. Like, I have struggled with thoughts of wanting, of thoughts that just are intrusive, thoughts that are, I'll just come out right and say it. I want to kill myself. How many of you out there have had that thought, but have never really felt like you were going to? How many of you out there have come to this thought in your head, so much so that it is a mantra? Every single day it appears in your head.
I remember thinking, well, I remember imagining like what a world could look like if I were gone.
It's a big thought.
Yeah.
That is a big thought, and it is not a thought that came to you naturally, because it's not a small thing. It's all of the little things that came to it. So this is why people go to therapy, is because people, I think, need to break down this thought. But in by breaking down these thoughts, many unpleasant feelings may arise. Thoughts of uneasiness, thoughts of sadness, anger. Lots of things in your life have led you to this one thought that's now a mantra in your head. Break it down. Break it down into smaller thoughts. And then squash them. And maybe, or
I think you're losing.
yeah, I'm getting a little lost in the sauce here.
But so I mean, if you feel free to break that down. So okay, you listed that as an example. If you did have that thought, even if it was once or twice or every day, if you had that thought, how do you break that down so you can squash it? It's a tough one.
Well, yeah, it's a tough order.
How would you do it if you
first and foremost?
How do you do it?
First and foremost, I am not a professional. Please seek help. If these are thoughts that are so intrusive that you cannot operate in your daily life, please seek professional help. And that can be hard. So here's how I do it. I start with where did the lead up come from? What was I doing? What was I thinking of before that thought popped into my head? First of all, I have to declare that thought does not serve me. And then I go deeper. Well, because I feel like a failure. Well, then you break that down. Why do you feel like a failure? Well, I'm 30. I have 2 degrees. I'm jobless. I do not feel like I have a direction. I feel unwanted in this society. I feel like a total bum. I feel like a leech, a drain. I just feel worthless. So now you break it down even further. What brought about these feelings? Why is it that we feel like such a burden when we aren't doing anything, when we're struggling? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that a crazy thought? we're the ones struggling, and yet sometimes we feel like we're such a burden on others.
Mm.
And to loop it back around to Spinoza, Spinoza believed that throughout all things, you should do things with love. And I think that for those of you with thoughts similar to mine, it comes from a place of love, almost, in a sense. Here, let me explain. You feel like you're worthless because you're not providing worth to whom? To yourself? To others? Because you love them. You love others.
You want to be loved.
You want to be loved.
Back.
And that's crazy because there are people in your life that love you. Right?
Yeah.
So and so then you have to say, well, how did I get this feeling in the first place? Why do I feel like a failure? Well, because society has dictated that if you are jobless by the time that you are 30, or not married or have any kids or single or what have you, or you're overweight, that you are a failure.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
these are the slow tigers. These are the pressures of society that we face. And that's not to say that you should cast aside these pressures of society. Society wants to elevate humans and their position. This is getting really deep here. So tell me if you're getting lost in the sauce, and I can stop. But here's what you'll notice. Do you realize what I said there?
I don't think I caught that.
I'm talking about far back. I'm 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 bachelor's degrees.
Degrees, right? Jobless.
I'm jobless. Do you see what I said there? Did you catch it? I said I had 2 bachelor's degrees.
Yeah.
I completed 7 years of college. That is quite a feat, if I must say so myself. I am not only a meteorologist, but I am an actor as well. I have the right to say that. I went through motherfucking college to get to this position. And you know what? You in your life, you've worked your butt off to be where you are right now. You've been walking forwards this whole time without ever turning around to see where you've come from. So you're reframing your thoughts. No, I'm not a failure. I'm not a failure. Look, I got 2 degrees. I successfully completed 2 degrees. And for those of you out there for feeling like a failure for not completing your degree, maybe you had some setbacks. That happens. Setbacks happen. Whether it was your own fault or not, you still made the effort to go to college, or maybe you decided that you didn't make enough effort to go to college, but instead you decided to go out there and work and try. And it's crazy to me that people out there will see what they have wanted and have abandoned their large goals and view that as a failure, and that everything else, every other success is covered by this overarching impending failure. But this is me. This is my own personal story. It may be similar to you. But this is this is where I am. This is what I struggle with. And Dr. Bill Crawford will say, it's a hard thing to restructure your brain and your thought pattern, because when you're not conscious of the thoughts in your head, what happens? You go back into those ruts. You go back into those big thoughts.
You might feel like you're battling each day with the same problem, and you might
be.
You might for the rest of your life, but I think hopefully there'll be a point where it starts getting a little easier and hopefully become a little second nature. You'll still have to fight things going on within you constantly, sure.
It takes a real massive undertaking to start thinking about thoughts. It is a hard thing when you have so many other things to think about. It's true though. We have so many things to think about, and we have to spend and you have to spend so much time restructuring your whole brain.
It's so tiring and a lot of work.
To make it work for you. But I think in the long run, the effort pays dividends, because
it pays off for sure.
So I'm running out of time here. I need to go here soon.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's so many other things that I want to say in here that I miss saying.
Hey, that's all right. Well, we could always have you on.
Let's see.
Time. Wait.
Oh, okay. We've got. Okay, wait.
Before you pivot, because I want to give. I'm big.
Okay.
Yeah, now on giving proper energy to things. And things deserve their proper energy. Whether it's talking to a pal or focusing on a task. So yeah. Because you said some really great stuff just now, and I think it deserves its proper time, at least to not just be dropped, but just kind of be set into a nice little close. I think you're right. It's extremely tough to rewire and rework, and it might be a daily effort. But God, this is why. These are the things that we have to do to become better people. And if you're watching this, I think you want to become a better person. At least I hope so. That's kind of a little mini goal, maybe a little bit of the main goal, to help us all become slightly better. Whether you take a little bit out of this, whether you take a lot, regardless, make that effort, put in that energy, put in that effort to help rewire your brain even just a little bit.
Your brain is a tool. Make it serve you. And
also, your brain is you, as well as your mind and body. As bringing it back to Spinoza, be nice, be gentle to yourself, to you. Yeah, it's a tool, because you yourself. I mean, we learn as actors, we're tools.
Your body is
body is our instrument and everything. Sure, cheesy, but
it's true.
It's true. You got to take care of yourself and take care of your mind, body, everything, and because. God, I mean, that's all you really have at the end of the day.
All right. So here are the few things.
Last thought.
Well, here's the last thoughts.
We're wrapping it up with this, ladies and gentlemen.
that I wrote down here. Don't do everything at once. Seriously, don't do it. One problem at a time.
One baby step at a time.
One slow tiger at a time.
One slow tiger at a time.
Create a roadmap. And that ties into getting informed. Become informed, form a plan, shoot for the small goals, and then mold your discipline. If you have to use motivation to make it through, the easiest fuel to find is spite. I know some of you motherfuckers out there are some hateful motherfuckers. If you are going to hate, use it.
whether it's a capitalist society, whether it's your next door neighbor.
Exactly. Or your dog. Oh,
Sorry.
I hope it's not your dog. I hate my dog so much.
No.
Oh,
How dare
that's so fucked up. Anyway, I do want to say this too, because this is getting into a little Buddhism here. But anger comes from a place where you lack control and your reptilian brain is trying to get back control. You are angry because you lack control and you're trying to wrestle it back.
Before this started, I did a little breathing exercise, and he joined me. And it's to help me control any emotion. And so I can not let the reptilian brain do its thing, so I can have more control of that. By the way,
Yeah, that's wild.
that's cool.
I was so distracted during that. I don't know if you saw me. You had your eyes closed, but when he was doing the thing, I was like,
Fire breathing.
that sounds like a saw going through like a log. That was fun.
It was.
All right. And the last thing, sometimes, the only way you're going to get to doing the thing you want to do is by carving your own path. So many times I will have people be like, "Oh, just do this, just use this app." And my mind doesn't work like that. I'm sorry, I can't use MyFitnessPal. It's annoying, it's clunky, it has ads. I don't like it. I'm sorry, I don't like it. So what did I do? When I was trying to lose weight, I wrote everything down by hand. And you know what? Motherfuckers laughed at me. And by motherfuckers, I mean my parents, and they're allowed to laugh at me. But motherfuckers laughed at me. But you know what? I managed to do it for 80 days. My goal was 100, but holy shit, I did it for a whole 80 days. And I lost weight. I did it.
It worked for you.
Yeah.
People are gonna make fun of you until you're right, until you make it, and then they're gonna be like, "Wow, you're a genius," or at least say, "I was wrong." Maybe they won't admit it, but you'll know.
Yeah. You'll know.
By the way, when you said that you were distracted during the breathing exercise, it's okay. That's kind of the process of it. Even if you get distracted during it, that's the process of it. Next time you will be a little less distracted, and if you notice that, you just try to fight it. Try to fight those slow tigers. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. This may be for like not part of the podcast, but
Okay, sure.
what is the point of like that part? Because like I'm like, oh gosh, my head, I'm like hyperventilating. Like, oh my god.
That's why it said if you need to like do to like because you're not used to it. It's just
What is it supposed to do?
Regulated emotion, I believe. The person that I did a podcast with prior to you, Melissa Acuna,
I watched that.
She put me on it, or a bunch of breathing exercises, and that's the one that stuck because it worked for me. For me.
Hey, look at that!
Yeah,
look at that. It doesn't work for me, but it works for this guy. Wow. Oh well, maybe it might work for me. Maybe I just haven't found the thing that does work for me.
Look up Wim Hof. A lot of
How do you spell that?
WIMHOFF, I believe.
Wim Hof.
Yeah, Wim Hof method. It's he climbed Mount Everest like barefoot or something, or not. I don't know. I'm botching this, but yeah, like with very minimal clothing, doing this breathing technique. The one that he invented, and or at least maybe coined, maybe didn't invent, but it's like derived from X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, this is getting into some like Joe Rogan stuff, but I heard that like there was some like monk in that could like regulate his own body temperature. Is wild. He could like give himself a fever or like make himself like super cold, and he could like exist in like the coldest temperature because he could just control his body temperature.
I believe
that's wild.
I believe that. I honestly hearing about the Wim Hof thing. Like honestly, human beings are fucking crazy. We are not tapping into our full potential, and there's some motherfuckers out there that are like showing us that. Holy crap, that is wow. How did you accomplish that? How are you still alive? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
And everyone in between.
And this is John Harvey, aka Goomy, aka one of my dearest friends. Thank you for spending a little time and talking about diving into your brain a little bit. And
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. And I hope you had fun too. In between the rambling and the nonsense that we keep talking about, hopefully you found something that you resonate with.
Yeah. And something that I like to say is, and that I took from a different podcast, but I forgot exactly which one. Anyways, if you latch onto something and that's just like, oh, I really like what they said there, dive into it. Keep going with it. Don't just like, all right, I'm just gonna move on to the next thing. No. Follow it. Follow that rabbit hole and see how far it leads you. You'll be surprised. Happily surprised, at least I hope. But yeah. Take care, everyone. And until next time. All right.
God, I hate these people.
Wait.